One shining moment, and it happened on Sunday. UCLA wins their first ever NCAA Women's Basketball National Championship, but it's not their first national championship ever. That was in 1977 when it was something called the AIAW, and the leader of that team, and arguably, it really wasn't much of an argument until maybe yesterday, the most accomplished women's basketball player in UCLA history, and that's my friend Ann Meyers Drysdale. Annie, I was so happy for you to see you there and get to see in person. I know you spend a lot of time in Arizona, but first of all, thank you for doing this. And what was that like for you? I saw you were with some of your teammates. What was yesterday like?
Well, first of all, it was 1978.
Okay,
so
thank you.
We won the national title. And the NCAA needs to get it straight. It doesn't matter whether it's four letters that say NCAA or AIAW. They're all important.
Right.
And but I will say I felt such pride and great emotion. This is their team. This is their legacy. And being at the Final Four last year, and they did not do well, but certainly a first time. But there was such, watching this team all through the season and knowing what they're capable of accomplishing, John, it was so wonderful to see. Cori Close, I think, has been one of the prominent coaches throughout our game for a long time, not just at UCLA. But I just couldn't be more happy that these young women were able to celebrate the 2026 championship.
John was talking about last year's game against UConn and how that had lasting effects that kind of pushed this team towards winning this championship. Do you agree with him in that stance? Do you think last year's championship game or last year's semifinal game played a role in pushing them over the edge to get it done this year?
Well, the fact that they got there last year was pretty amazing because they had 6 people leave from this last year's team that was at the Final Four. And I do recall that, my freshman year was 1975 when my brother David was at UCLA as a senior, and they won their last championship for Coach Wooden in 75. And so we didn't make it to the tournament. I had expected to at my freshman year. I expected it my junior year and my sophomore year. My sophomore year, I was on the first women's Olympic 76 Olympic team. And as a matter of fact, we just celebrated our 50th anniversary there at the Final Four.
Great.
But, so it was a lot of disappointment not being able to go to the finals and then find out that the finals were going to be at UCLA. And we lost 3 games back in New York, back in Maryland, and back in North Carolina to start out the season. So I'm devastated. But you're right, losses do help you be more focused. And certainly the players that came in this year for Cori, with Dugalich coming back and sacrificing, saying I'll come off the bench when she was a starter all year last year, and a year's experience of all these juniors of what they experienced last year, and then coming in this year and golly, their defense was so amazing all season long. 30% and 29% for both those games in the playoffs, but they held only 3 teams scored over 70 points on them this year. And they were 2-1 in those games, and then to come back and beat Texas like they did, like a drum. I mean, Jaquez was. I mean, I was so proud of Lauren. Lauren was MVP, but Jaquez could have gotten it too. I mean, she held Booker to 2 points all through 3 quarters, and they had such a tremendous game yesterday against South Carolina. I mean, just everybody sacrificed for each other, and they're such a team of sisters.
Ann Meyers is our guest, Ann Meyers Drysdale, who was there yesterday. I'm mad at you because when they showed you, I know you had to wear your Hall of Fame red, but seeing you in red freaked me out a little bit. Did anybody give you a hard time? Did you at least have blue and gold on underneath the Hall of Fame red?
You and me both. Actually, USA Basketball, it was our 50th anniversary.
So that was the red. Okay.
Olympic team. So all my team, there were 7 of us from that Olympic team. We were all in red. They introduced us in between the first and second quarter, and I absolutely had my UCLA blue and gold on underneath, and I pulled the red shirt up to show all the Bruins alumni and fans, and to make sure that and as soon as we were off the court, yes, that shirt came off.
Annie, I said to Sua before when I knew you were coming on that I still think you're the greatest player in UCLA women's basketball history. I mean, your resume is impossible to eclipse. But Would you be comfortable having me put Lauren either right behind you or right next to you, Lauren Betts, with the way she played over the last 2 years?
Well, you have to remember, Denise Curry is the all-time leading scorer at UCLA.
Yeah, your
two-time
teammate.
Olympian and
Your
a
teammate.
three-time
Yeah.
Hall of Famer or All-American. So, the one thing that Cori is doing such a great job is recruiting. And not to say that Kathy Olivier and Billy had some unbelievable players too. But, just look at that starting five. And Dugalich coming off the bench. And then, Sienna, Betts, hopefully she stays down with this nil. Who knows with any kid today, as I said.
Yeah.
Cori lost 6 players from last year's team, 6 players. And to be able to do what she did was pretty awesome.
You mentioned Cori Close is somebody that you respect and was the right coach for this team. Why, Ann? Why? And we're talking to Ann Meyers Drysdale. Why was Cori the one who was finally able to get him over the top? What do you like about her as a coach?
Well, really, Nikki Caldwell came in. Nikki Caldwell was the coach a couple of years before Cori, and Cori was still down at Florida State. Nikki was supposed to be the coach that was going to be there a while, but my understanding that she didn't get paid.
Right.
I think she was working to get money for her staff and so forth. So some other schools came in and offered more money, and she left to go to LSU. And certainly I think the search went out to see who they were going to bring in. And Cori, who's from California, and I called her games when she played at Santa Barbara and knew she was a terrific leader then. But just her presence and understanding who Coach Wooden was, and had this unbelievable relationship with Papa. And when she was assistant coach at Santa Barbara, she would bring her team down, and they would all meet at Papa's apartment. I mean, Cori was a sponge with Papa. And I think, knowing the pyramid of success, and she has her own, core values and so forth, she has just stayed true to herself. And when she came in, Rafer was very supportive. Myself was supportive. Sue Enquist and the coaches that were there, Val Condos and so forth. So, Cori's really established herself as not only the women's coach, basketball coach at UCLA, which we've had some great coaches in all our sports, but, she has stayed true to her players and has invested in them, and as people, not just as basketball players, but as people. And I think that that's the one thing I really enjoy watching her interact and communicate with the players, and how much they love and respect her.
We're talking to Ann Meyers Drysdale. Okay, Annie, a couple of things I thought about after I watched that game. Gabriela Jaquez, you talked about her, was all over the place. She was just fantastic. And Jaime had gone to the Final Four, but they came up short. You mentioned you and your brother David. You guys both won national championships at UCLA. To your knowledge, have siblings ever done that since? The Hawkinses came close, but are you the only ones, you and your brother Dave?
Yes. And, Cheryl won it at USC. Reggie did not win it. They won the NIT at UCLA.
Right.
But I can't think of any other
Either can
brothers and sisters. But more and more, there are more brothers and sisters that are playing in the WNBA or NBA and so forth. I mean, Candace Park and her brother, and there's quite a few others. But, no, we're the only ones. Yeah,
good for you. And I always think about, man, if you would have come
Thank
along.
you, John.
If you would have come along later in life, Annie, I say this to Michael Thompson all the time as he's watching his son Clay make millions, burying all those threes. Annie, if you would have come along today when I saw that new CBA for the WNBA, I went, Annie didn't even have a pro team to go to. I mean, it took 3 years for them to even come out, and then the league kind of faded out. Do you ever shake your head at what women's basketball has turned into, or are you proud of it?
Well, I'm a product of Title IX.
There you go.
Got the first scholarship at UCLA, and very proud of where I came along. I was the number 1 draft pick with the Houston Angels and got traded to the New Jersey Gems and played in the first women's professional basketball league, the WBL, and was MVP. But they used to ask Don this question all the time. And
your husband, Don Drysdale, who
yes,
you were married to
they
for
would
years.
ask Don this question, don't you wish you were playing today? Look at the money these guys are making. And he looked at him and said, Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, Ted Williams, Sandy Koufax, Bob Gibson, just went down the list. It was like one, yeah. We're born when we're born.
Yep.
And certainly Don and Sandy changed the scheme as far as salaries for pitchers back in the day.
Sure did.
And I think my tryout with the Pacers helped change the idea that women could make more money. And I'm so proud and excited for these women standing up and working out the CBA and what they're going to get paid.
Good for you. And I'll leave you with this. The last time I saw you, I said, and I want to put this out, Annie, as you know, Mason and I have been on forever. And a lot of Hollywood types listen to us, the people that make TV shows and movies. And I'm waiting for someone, and I know you've had conversation about this. You mentioned that you had a 3-day tryout with the Indiana Pacers. And so I think your life story needs to be made into a movie. Is there any traction on that? I know you've had conversations over the years, but now that women's basketball has taken off, now that UCLA basketball is on the front burner, is there any? Are you still hopeful that might happen one day?
Sure. I mean, I've tried for the last 20 years, and now it's interesting the different places that we've gone to and tried to get that, not just to try out with the Pacers, but they just, it's not relevant. It's not relevant kind of thing. So, we keep trying, and that's all you can do. I mean, I don't give up.
Good.
I definitely do not give up on things. And you and I have been friends for a long time, so
yeah, I'm pulling for you. I think. Well, I mean, there's so much they could put into that movie, Sue. Annie won the. Remember the Superstars, the competition where they bring all the athletes. Annie won the women's Superstars 3 times. I mean, and
competed. I also competed in the men's Superstars.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to remember. You've told me before, but I don't remember when you tried out for the Pacers. Were they nice to you, or did they try and rough you up?
Well, it was very difficult. My whole life I've been playing against guys on the playground,
right.
Not just basketball, but other sports. So what I was doing was nothing different. And for the guys, it was really hard. Slick Leonard came out to California several times to try and talk me out of it. But I wasn't going to have it. And so when I got there, it was more difficult on the men than it was on me, because if I made if they blocked my shot, it's like, oh, no big deal. It's only a girl. And if I made a shot, it's like, oh, you let some girl beat you. And so they were intimidated. But Jack McCloskey was an assistant coach at the time, and he called us all over, I think, in the second practice. And he just, with very salty language, just said, hey, she's out here for a job just like all you guys. So you better start playing and not be intimidated and don't be careful kind of thing. And I think that really helped the guys relax a lot. And, I've been roughed up a little bit playing and so forth, but you just get back up. You get back into play.
Yeah, that's your whole career. I mean, that really is. I mean, like you said, you and I have known each other forever, but you were the first person I thought of. I was so glad when I saw you there. And by the way, Annie, these girls have affected
women.
Oh, thank you. They have affected the whole city. I mean, it's been a weird year around here, and it was a weird weekend. The Lakers kind of cratered all at once. I know how closely you follow the NBA, and their 2 best players get hurt. Their prognosis does not look good. We've had USC. We lost Juju this year, who's a wonderful player who I know you've met. And
my goodness, she'll be back. She was out here working out with the USA team, and she's wonderful.
Yeah. And so USC, there was just kind of a cloud over the sports scene, and it just lifted yesterday. These women, thank you for correcting me, were so easy to root for. And
they were, just their personalities and how much they care for each other, and the dancing and doing the TikTok stuff, and this is the social media today. And that's one reason I'm glad I'm not playing today.
You and I would probably be canceled with social media.
I was with Cheryl Miller this weekend. Cheryl's like my little sister, and God love her. She goes, hey, if I was playing today, I'd be all over TMZ. Don't even go there. I don't,
Right there with you guys. Yeah, right there with you guys. Well, listen, I'm glad you got to enjoy it in person. Thank you for doing this, and you were a big part of this, Annie. You started this.
Well, once a Bruin,
UCLA.
always a Bruin.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this. I'll see you again soon. All right, there's Ann Meyers Drysdale, who. As she mentioned, was forced to wear red in honor of USA basketball. And then took it off after they recognized her. God bless her. Game of Games coming up next. It's my game today. We'll play it